Hello, everyone. Russia's pounding of Ukrainian power infrastructure and other utilities continues. And if you have ever been without water or power or both at any time of year, you know that it's never a good thing. It's bad in winter, it's bad in the summer, and summer in Ukraine is very, very hot. Remember, I grew up there, so I know exactly what they're dealing with. So, here's what we have at this time. We have 100,000 households without power in northern Ukraine, and water supply has been cut off to a regional capital. This is in the northern Sumy region. That's one of the ones that has a direct border with Russia. And what is happening there is yet another argument in favor of letting Ukraine use long-range weapons to fire into Russian territory, because Russia can do this into Ukraine. Russia can fire at border regions without any problems because they do have long-range weapons and they have no restrictions on them. So this is just another example why any kind of restrictions on Ukraine's use of long-range weapons are ridiculous. And there is an article on BBC basically presenting this from the practical standpoint. For example, what it's like for hospitals, what it's like for people who require electrical devices to stay alive, essentially. We have, for example, people with disabilities who need electricity to breathe, to eat, and receive medication. This woman, in order to keep her disabled son's equipment running, has a generator. But remember, not everybody can get one. Plus, generator requires fuel, and at wartime, fuel is also hard to get. So, another good point in the article, I like numbers as an analyst, as a data person. I like numbers. And so, to me, this really paints a picture. They're talking about how much generating capacity Ukraine had lost over the last 3 months. We're talking about 9 gigawatts of generating capacity. That is more than a third of the capacity they had before the invasion. And it is enough power to run Netherlands during peak hours of consumption, or Slovakia, Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia combined. So that gives you an idea. Yes, there are thermal power plants. They too have been targeted. Solar panel fields have been targeted. Wind power has been popular in Ukraine for quite some time now. That has been targeted. So everything across the board is basically being bombarded. When I talked to my parents, I asked them about this. I asked them, did they have power, or what did they need? And my dad talked about, more and more people trying to create their own backups. If they can install solar on their homes, they do. If they can get generators and fuel for them, they do. So basically, I told them, if they need to make some type of provisions, just let me know. I'll figure out how to get the money to them to make this happen. But, that's just my family. A lot of families do not have support in that respect. This popped up in New York Times. I'm treating it as a developing story because I don't trust New York Times anymore. They used to be a reputable source. I stopped using them regularly about a couple of years ago because they just got so biased. So, like I said, let's treat this as a developing story. I'll look for more information on this. Basically, my question is, what, you guys ran out of male inmates? You know, Ukraine did you a service by basically executing some of your murderers and rapists, but some of them survived, as I told you before, went home and continued murdering and raping. So I am interested to hear their rationale for this particular move. Ukraine continues to do more with less, particularly in the coordinated series of drone attacks deep into Russian territory, targeting Russia's oil refineries. So that is some good news, at least. Of course, the biggest caveat, again, is with the restrictions. We know Russia will retaliate against Ukrainian civilians, and Ukraine only has limited capacity and limited permission to defend itself. But here is what we know. We had some successful drone attacks that were confirmed with NASA global satellite imagery. We had oil tanks at Pavlovskaya and Leningradskaya regions. We have a cellular communication tower that was hit in the Yeysk area. And like I said, that's good news. And that is Ukraine's own resources. Remember, Ukraine has been carrying out these long-distance, long-range drone attacks against Russia's military objects a long time ago. That's been going on for months. That's been going on while, the whole mess in the U.S. House of Representatives was going on. So this is Ukraine's own resources. Nobody gave this to us. The good news is that we are hoping for some additional drones from some of the allies. And President Zelensky did comment on the results of the election in the UK. So far, UK has been a very staunch supporter of Ukraine. I think perhaps because the memory is still fresh of the bombing of London. So the big hope is that they will continue supporting Ukraine. And then there is this. So I have seen articles arguing both sides of the question about F-16s. There are some, like Ukraine's Navy chief, that say unequivocally, oh yeah, F-16s are going to be a huge advantage. It's going to be awesome. And I'm not denying the fact that F-16 is an awesome war machine. So there is that. And we already have pilots trained for this. Thank you, France, for that, and Britain. But there's another group that is saying, yes, it is a big, fantastic war machine, but remember, it doesn't exist in a vacuum. It needs to be kept somewhere safe. It needs to be fueled. It needs to be maintained. So those questions come up when we're talking about the introduction of F-16s. At this point, since we've had commitments from the allies about the delivery of F-16s, since, like I said, we had training for the pilots, etc., I guess let's try it and find out. Let's see what we can do with this. There are high hopes for this. I like I said, I'd be the last person to deprive anybody of their hope. And I, too, very much hope that this will be crucial. In addition, we are waiting, this is what I was referring to get some more drones from Latvia. Thank you, Latvia. Notice this cute little line where Orban says Kiev and Moscow's positions on peace are very far apart. You think? Did someone tell you that, or did you come up with that all by yourself? As I mentioned before, Ukraine's condition for peace is one and only. Ukrainian position for peace is Russian troops must leave Ukrainian territory.